Yo, what's up, guys? In today's video, I got a bunch of Chicago Bulls news. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how the Chicago Bulls have been struggling for weeks now and how they're sliding down the Eastern Conference standings. I'm also going to be talking about and breaking down how a Bulls insider, he put out an article and he expects the Chicago Bulls to trade Vuce in this upcoming offseason. And he was also talking about how he wouldn't be surprised if the Chicago Bulls do decide to blow up this roster if the struggles do continue. But either way, before I jump into that article and break it down, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Leave a quick like on today's video. It takes a second, helps me out a lot. And some comments and questions below today's video talking about the topics I'm about to jump into. Also, check out my last video if you guys missed it. I was talking about a bunch of Chicago Bulls news and injury updates. And I was also talking about how a bunch of Bulls players are frustrated with their struggles right now. But either way, let's just jump right into today's video. Because I'm going to be honest, since the All-Star break, I don't know what flipped or whatever happened, but the Chicago Bulls have just not looked like the same team. You could blame injuries and everything else like that, like many Bulls fans have, but on most nights, the Bulls' 3 All-Stars are playing, and the Chicago Bulls should be winning most of these games, and especially versus elite NBA teams, the Bulls should not be 0-16. And as I'm recording this video, the Chicago Bulls now have lost their last 10 games out of their last 13, and that's unacceptable, especially for how good this team was for the first half of the NBA season. And also, as I'm recording this video, they are currently the 5th seed in the East, but they are now only 1 game out of being in the play-in tournament, and that's definitely scary to even say and talk about because this Bulls team, if you look at their home and away record, it's not even close. This Bulls team can just not win on the road, and I don't know why. But since the Bulls have been struggling for weeks, a Bulls insider, Joe Crowley, did put out this article for the Chicago Sun-Times, and he was saying how the Bulls core, their big 3 seemed very solid moving forward just a few months ago. Everything was right for the Chicago Bulls just a few months ago. Even with the injuries, I'd say they were still playing pretty solid. But throughout these past few weeks, the Bulls have been struggling. They've been sliding down the East. And Joe Crowley did say, however, depending on how this season ends out, this could lead to AK calling all the bets off. An early playoff exit could see I'd say busy and a summer filled of movement for Arturas and the Chicago Bulls. And like I just said in my last video, I was talking about how a bunch of Bulls players in the Bulls locker room is just defeated and frustrated. Zach LaVine said it's frustrated. Obviously, they're trying to get back into rhythm how they were before the All-Star break. And in this article, say the Chicago Bulls do lose, I'd say early in the first round or even fall into the NBA play-in game and they lose in that, this offseason could be filled with a lot of movement. And in this article, he said Vuce would most likely be the likely piece to be traded because after this season, he is on a 1-year deal. And his contract does go down from $24 million this season to $22 million next season in his last deal. And after that, in this article, he did continue and he said if the Chicago Bulls could land a more defensive-minded center like Utah Jazz's Rudy Gobert, or even make a play for Suns restricted free agent DeAndre Ayton, such a move seamlessly would fit a lot of their defensive issues. And I agree. Either of those big men would fit amazing with this roster. Don't get me wrong, Vuce has still been very solid on this season, even though his numbers and shooting percentages are all kind of down. His shooting percentages are starting to even themselves out a little bit, but his three-point percentage is still down very bad. I would still do the Wendell Carter Jr. for Vuce trade in a heartbeat because that shows the NBA and all the free agents that the Bulls are, I'd say, focused on winning, and they're willing to do whatever to win now. Obviously, Vuce was a big part of getting the Bulls getting Lonzo and Demar as well. I'm not going to make this video about hating on Vuce, but I've seen so much hate surrounding Vuce and his name for months now, and honestly this whole season. Obviously he has struggled, his numbers are down, his shooting percentages are down, and obviously he's not the best defensive minded center. But even though Vuce has been through everything, role changes this whole season, being the 3rd option, he dealt with COVID earlier this season, a few injuries here and there. In 65 games for the Bulls, this man has still been a walking double-double. I think everyone knows Vuce is a walking double-double. On this season, he has averaged about 18 points per game, 11 total rebounds, 3 assists, still shooting about 48% from the field, only shooting about 32% from three-point range. I'm not sure what's up with his three-pointer this season. He's also shooting about 75% from the free throw line. And it also doesn't help that Vuce is kind of getting up there in age. Joe Crowley, a Bulls fan, did ask him on Twitter saying, do you think we will trade Vuce or anyone? I think we need a center, LOL. And he said, I think anything and everything is in play this offseason, and I agree. I think it's obvious Arturas is going to do whatever it takes, trade anyone, make any moves, spend any amount of money to try and win a championship. I mean, look what he's done for the Chicago Bulls organization and roster in just about 2 seasons now. You know, he did continue and he said, AK isn't running this back is my gut feeling, and I agree. It wouldn't surprise me if the Bulls did keep their big three and just retool with some role players around them, but at the same time, Vuce does have an expiring contract for next season, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did cash that in and maybe include Coby White or a future draft pick involved and try and get another big man. A more defensive-minded big man would be a better fit in my opinion. And Chicago Bulls Talk on Twitter agreed with this whole situation. I know, you know, let's be honest. The Bulls have, I'd say, blown out a lot of our expectations for this season. A lot of Bulls fans, including myself, just wanted to make the NBA playoffs. And I think it didn't help that the Bulls were the first and second seed for most of this season. Let's be honest. This team is not going to win a championship. They're not a true title contender. I mean, their record versus elite NBA teams is 0-16. And Chicago Bulls Talk did say, you know, regardless how this season does play out, Arturas and Mark Eversley rebuilding this team into a true contender in one season is just not realistic. It usually takes a series of multiple moves building your team up. It's definitely a good start. You know, the Bulls have some good pieces, but Arturas and Mark Eversley still have a lot to do. And that's why myself and this Bulls insider wouldn't surprise us if the Bulls did decide to trade Vuce or blow up this roster or just, I'd say, retool in this upcoming summer. I'm definitely down to trade Vuce. You know, he is on an expiring contract. He hasn't looked the same since his Orlando Magic days. It doesn't help that he's not, I'd say, the best on the defensive end either. And it really doesn't help that Zach and DeMar aren't the best defenders either. So I feel like I'd say a center like DeAndre Ayton or I'd say Rudy Gobert would be amazing. I do believe both those names and targets are very unlikely and more than likely just a dream scenario. If the Bulls could get those guys in a trade, I would be down. But I'm going to be honest, I just see the Chicago Bulls front office running this roster back, maybe just retooling, making some minor trades here and there. It wouldn't surprise me if the trade rumors do pick up in this offseason about Vuce, maybe even Coby White, maybe Patrick Williams if the Bulls do want to make another big trade and go all in again. It's definitely going to be an interesting offseason, especially with the Bulls sliding right now. Hopefully the Bulls can stay out of the play-in tournament to end the season. And I mean, it'd be a dream scenario, but it's looking more and more likely that Lonzo might be out. If the Bulls continue to slide, it wouldn't surprise me if the Bulls just decide to sit Lonzo out for the rest of the season and the NBA playoffs as well. I mean, I don't know what more to say. This Bulls team is much better at home, and it's looking likely that it's going to be really hard for the Bulls to get home court advantage. Definitely let me know below today's video what you guys think about all the topics. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Have a good one.